Hi guys, I'm 6acres. Welcome to my channel. So I came across this on Amazon a few years back, and it is a pandemic flu preparedness kit put out by the Department of Defense for their employees and their families. So I'm gonna do a sort of a review. I'm just gonna kind of go over with and share the information that the Department of Defense thought was important for their employees and their employees' families if there was a pandemic. And I think it's very important because of all the misinformation we are receiving presently by the administration, by the CDC, by the Surgeon General, by World Health, by all the people that are supposed to be looking out for you and I. But it looks like the Department of Defense knows how to look after its employees and their families. And if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for us. So let's dive into this real quick. So in this little package, it's going to include a pandemic information sheet, 2 N95 respirators, 4 surgical masks, and 1 hand sanitizer. I'm going to read the back of this because I think it is pretty important, and I think there's something that really stands out, and I can't wait to read it to you. By taking basic precautions, you can protect yourself and your family from pandemic influenza. This kit includes instructions on how to decrease your risk of catching pandemic flu, and what to do if someone in your family catches the pandemic flu. Also included in this kit is a starter supply of waterless hand washing solution and 2 types of protective mask. The supplies in this kit will not be sufficient for an entire pandemic. You will be required to purchase replacement supplies as the pandemic proceeds. There is no influenza pandemic. Local and health and government authorities will notify you when it is known that a pandemic is beginning and when it is in your community. This kit should be used when the pandemic arrives. The instructions guide inside the kit should be read now and kept with the kit for use when it's needed. These or similar kits might not be provided to the general public. Okay, I want to read that to you again. These are similar kits might not be provided to the general public. We have provided these kits due to our commitment to the health of the Department of Defense family, as it directly impacts our ability to carry out the Department of Defense mission. So even when the Department of Defense was using our tax dollars to pay themselves and pay their employees and prepare for a pandemic flu, we were not in the equation, and we're still not in the equation. But let's proceed. So in the kit, we have our 4-ounce bottle of Perel hand sanitizer. There was 4 surgical masks, but I had to try one out. I wanted to check it out years back. So I only have 3, but it did originally come with 4. And 2 N95 respirators. And of course, the Pandemic Flu Preparedness Kit brochure. So let's see. This pamphlet includes things you will need to do during a pandemic and sample of the supplies you may need. Remember, information instructions will change during the pandemic. Keep up on current news and events and follow the installation and public health instructions. So this brochure is kind of lengthy. It's 2-sided, but it is super informative. So I'm going to read it to you. If you don't want to watch this part, just go ahead and thumbs up now and subscribe and, zap out. Catch me on the next video. All right, here we go. Avoid people with the flu. When the flu is in your community, stay at home if you can. Avoid crowds. If you must go out, consider wearing a mask. Okay, I might have misread that. Let me read that again. When the flu is in your community, stay at home if you can. Avoid crowds. If you must go out, consider wearing a mask. Try to keep about 6 feet away from the people who are coughing or sneezing. Most people catch the flu by coming into contact with droplets from coughs and sneezes. Wash your hands frequently. Wash your hands with soapy water or alcohol-based waterless hand washing solution before eating or touching your face, after coughing and sneezing. after touching surfaces that someone might have coughed or sneezed on, after going out into the community, after caring for someone who has the flu, or touching something someone who is sick may have touched. Plan. Food, water, gas, and electricity and transportation all may be disrupted for periods of time. Medical care and access to non-prescription and prescription medications may be limited. Schools may close for 1 to 3 months. Plan for childcare. If schools are closed, kids should not gather in large groups. Check with your employer if you can work from home and what policies are in place should you not be able to come to work. If you are sick, stay at home. Cover your mouth and nose when coughing and sneezing. Cough and sneeze in disposable tissues. Discard these in a plastic bag. When removing the bag, try not to touch the dirty tissues. Check with local installation or public health authorities about flu clinics and other resources. Depending on how severe the pandemic, you may be requested to stay home if you have sick family members. If you can, designate one family member to care for those that are sick with the flu. Those with the flu should use separate eating utensils that are washed in hot soapy water. Those with the flu should not share objects like pens or remote controls. Disinfect surfaces that are frequently touched, like doorknobs, remote controls, light switches, and toilet handle. An effective disinfectant can be made using 1/4 cup of household bleach to 1 gallon of cold water. A fever may be an early sign of the flu. Take your temperature daily when the flu is in your community. Mask. After I read this, I swear, I really think the Department of Defense should be doing the press briefings and not Homeland Security, the CDC, the Surgeon General, the President, or Mike Pence. I really think after reading this, the Department of Defense should be doing the briefings. But let's just jump right into it. This kit has samples of 2 types of masks, the N95 respirators, and that's these right here, and the surgical masks right here. Additional masks are available at a number of different sources to include drug, hardware, and department stores. Again, additional masks are available at a number of different sources to include drug, hardware, and department stores. So I guess by them telling us to quit buying masks and that we really don't need them, it's because they want the government employees and their families to go pick up the masks because they already got the heads up. Remember, the Department of Defense already gave these kits out to their people. So they already had heads up on what to do, and they didn't do it. So now they're telling you because they didn't do it, they don't want you to do it. But let's keep going. A mask does not guarantee protection. It will reduce, but not eliminate your risk. The best protection is to limit your contact with sick individuals. The surgical mask should be worn by those that are ill with the flu, when they are coughing and sneezing, and when they come into close contact, less than 6 feet. With others in the family, they should continue to wear the mask until they no longer are coughing and sneezing. So this is the one that a sick person should put on. And that's because it's made for droplets, large droplets from coughing and sneezing from penetrating this mask. The N95 respirator or mask should be worn while caring for sick family members if you come within 6 feet of those that are ill. So if someone is sick, you wear this. Or if you come within 6 feet of those that are ill, you should be wearing a N95. Either types of mask should reduce but not eliminate your risk of catching the flu. If you need to go out into crowds that are likely to include sick people, N95 masks may provide a greater degree of protection. Let's say that again. If you need to go out into crowds that are likely to include sick people, N95 masks may provide a greater degree of protection. Never share a mask. Do not touch masks worn by sick people. If you do, wash your hands right after. Wash your hands before and after putting on or taking off a mask. If reusing a mask, try not to touch, If reusing a mask, try to touch only the straps and always wear it on the same side touching your face. So I'll read that again. If reusing a mask, try to touch only the straps and always wear it with the same side touching your face. Masks can be worn until they are visibly soiled or wet. Wearing a mask only when necessary will prolong the life of the mask. So you don't have to wear it constantly, but if you are going out, according to the Department of Defense, and you're going to be around sick people, you should put this one on, the N95. Emergency flu kits. So we're going to just, any place now where I see the word flu, I'm going to say coronavirus. So emergency coronavirus kits. Every individual must be prepared to care for themselves and family members by maintaining items that may be in short supply during a pandemic coronavirus outbreak. What should be in my kit? Ibuprofen and acetaminophen, a thermometer, rehydration solution like Pediacare for children, Gatorade for adults, household bleach for disinfection, cell phone, radio, and batteries, supply of face masks, plastic gloves, and plastic trash bags. Okay, let me read that again. Supplies of face mask, plastic gloves, and plastic trash bags should be in your kit. A 2-week supply of food that does not require refrigeration. Foods like canned meats, fish, beans, fruit, and soup are good examples. Plan on 1 gallon of water per person per day. Prescription medication. Now, this is not a comprehensive list. See www.pandemicflu.gov for additional items and more detailed instructions. So I don't even know if that address still works. I didn't bother looking at that. Oh, okay. So it looks like I finished it. And then the very last part right here is important phone numbers. So you could write those numbers on here. Because, sometimes when you're, sick or not doing well, or you're not feeling well, or you're on the run, you forget certain things. I guess that's listed there. But I think this is very informative. One, the back of the Department of Defense thought it was important to use our tax dollars to make sure its employees and their families knew what to do and the kind of things that they should have available if there was ever a pandemic or epidemic of coronavirus, however you want to talk about it right now. And they had samples of the different types of masks and when you should wear them and how you should wear them. And they gave you this really great informative brochure. And according to the Department of Defense, you should be wearing a mask. When the coronavirus is in your community, stay at home if you can. Avoid crowds. If you must go out, consider wearing a mask. There's 2 types of masks. N95 respirators and a regular surgical droplet mask. And a mask should be worn while caring for sick people or if you come within 6 feet of those that are ill. I think the reason not only did the government not assess what they needed to have for a real pandemic, they didn't consider everything. I mean, when you're writing something up and you're putting, great scholars together on this stuff, they're not looking at where everything is manufactured, produced. If this isn't the big one, which I suspect it's not, this isn't going to be like the 1918 pandemic flu. And don't kill me because I'm still optimistic that this can burn out. We can get this under control because I still believe that. This is an example of why it's important to prep and to prepare for, you don't know when things are going to change. And the Department of Defense used our tax dollars to build and give them a sample of supplies of what they would need for a flu. And like I said, the government was grossly underestimated. They did not add into the equation they did not add into the equation when they were doing all their modeling that the personal protective equipment, a majority of it is made in China, and that if they were enduring and dealing with the same thing, they would just shut off the supply lines. They did not count on that. And like it says right here, so we can all see it, it says additional masks are available at a number of different sources to include drug, hardware, and department stores. So are they telling you you don't need a mask, but they're actually telling their people behind the doors, you need to go to these places and try to pick up as many masks as you can? Is that what's happening? So they're telling us to seriously not buy any mask? Look, you can decide for yourself. It's your money. You earned it. This is what our tax dollars did for people that worked for the Department of Defense. And like it says right here about this kit, these or similar kits might not be provided to the general public. So they put the information on websites. In fact, I've noticed that Homeland Security's now, their FEMA, getready.gov, they've changed their list and stuff. But I did find stuff where it did say to have masks on hand. But even here, in their brochure, they tell their people that they should have a supply of face masks, plastic gloves, and plastic trash bags. If it's good enough for the government and their employees, it's good enough for you. You decide what you want to do. If you don't want to buy a mask, don't buy one. But if you do want to buy one, go get it. If it brings a sense of control and makes you feel better about the situation, go get them. They can't stop you. Those, according to World Health, according to the CDC, they already told us weeks ago that they stopped the supplies from being able to be sold. So all the stuff we still seeing in the store, that was there before before the little epidemic of coronavirus, right? It was there before. We were always able to buy that. And I'm going to give you a few heads up. The fact is, Target, Walmart, and Home Depot, and Lowe's, they all have their own apps. You can tell by those stores, including CVS, that if they have masks in those stores. However, Walmart is open 24 hours, and if someone else sees the app and sees the masks are in there, they can run and go get them all. It's a little easier if you live close to Target and Home Depot and Lowe's or Menards, and you can look at their site, and what it'll say is that they have a limited stock. So they're going to open the doors at 8 o'clock. Well, then you know what? At 7:30, you get in your car and you go stand at the door at 8 o'clock when they open it up, and you go rush in there and go get those masks. Now, just so you know, if you go to Home Depot or Lowe's or Menards, they have masks in different areas throughout the store. They don't stick them all in one spot. They're not all in the paint area. Some are over, like in Home Depot, they've been in where the tools are. Some areas, it's where way in the back where they have all the wood and stuff. They're just in different places. So you kind of have to search and look. But again, our tax dollars put these kits together for Department of Defense employees and their families to get them ready for a pandemic, or in this case, because they're not going to declare it a pandemic, an epidemic of coronavirus. You decide for yourself what you should do. Don't let the media, don't let family members, don't let the government, the CDC, the Surgeon General tell you who you are and what you deserve and what you should have for you and your family. That's it, folks. I just wanted to share this lovely little kit with you. And I hear a dog ready to go outside. So I'm going to go call it a day and spend some time with them because it's still pretty nice outside. Thanks for dropping by. And as always, have a great day.